We've been saying that with more and more states limiting access to abortion, there are going to be casualties as a result of that. And more evidence of that is rolling in with particular instances of people needlessly suffering because of the change to the law. We have a woman now, pregnant woman in Tennessee, had high and rising blood pressure, needed to have it dealt with. And we're gonna give you all the details. Couldn't in that state. And in fact, most of the states neighboring Tennessee, it's illegal there too. So they had to drive to North Carolina to save this woman's life. It was a 6-hour drive that she had to take. Here are the details. She got to this second hospital. Her blood pressure was dangerously high. She was at that point showing signs of kidney failure, okay? And here is how it worked out. The doctor who was working this case says that the patient was in her second trimester. Blood pressure began rising. The fetus had been diagnosed with genetic abnormalities and wasn't expected to survive. That's a sort of consideration that for a reasonable person would change their mind on medical intervention, but for religious zealots, it means basically nothing. So the woman apparently, it was feared, could develop life-threatening preeclampsia and thought that she needed an abortion. 8 states border Tennessee. Abortion is banned in all but 2 of them. And apparently, according to the gynecologist, the woman kept asking her if she was going to die. I kept saying, I'm trying, we're gonna make it happen. We just need to get you to the right place where you can be taken care of. And I personally think that the right place where she should be able to be taken care of is the United States of America. And up until recently, it was mostly true. But now, if you live in an increasing number of states across the country, you better hope that you've got a gassed up ambulance that can make the 6 or 8 or 10-hour drive to a place that still remains a part of modern civilization. Thankfully, she is still alive, okay? That's the good news, but she could have died. And people will die as a result of this. Michael, what do you think?
Well, I think these are the stories, sadly, that are going to impact change in the other direction. These are the stories that informed Roe v. Wade. If you look at a lot of the journalism around the time of that ruling and previous to it, there were stories, harrowing stories of women trying to get an abortion and either themselves not surviving, their fetus, not surviving, and all of the problems that go into that. Of course, their fetus being challenged to the point where they had to have an abortion. All of those challenges are what will impact the next wave against the Dobbs decision, and I think it's really it's a tragedy. But again, the compilation of these are what's going to hopefully change some minds.
Yeah, maybe we get to.
It is what it is now, but and it's horrible, and you have to talk about how tragic and horrible this is, that a woman would have to sit in an ambulance for this long. But if we're going to change it back the other way, these are the stories that will unfortunately have to move people.
Yeah, just devastating, so needless. We are a country who faces actual crises. We have decided that rather than address those, we're gonna needlessly create more. We're gonna dial back the clock a half century, a century, and just create new daily sources of suffering for so many people. That's what we.
And there's nothing Christian about having a woman sitting in the back of an ambulance for 6 hours fearing for her own life. There's nothing Christian about that.
Exactly. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.